Howdy y'all, and welcome back to yet another video. This week I'd like to talk about the f-stop Tilopa 50 liter and the Peak Design Everyday Bag 30 liter version and version 1 of the bag, if you can keep track of all that. But despite what the title says, I'm not actually going to compare these two bags in the traditional sense. I'm not going to give you all these features and try to tell you which one you're supposed to buy. There's already plenty of videos like that all over YouTube. What I'd like to do instead is compare the categories that these bags represent. So one category of camera bag being very rugged and feature packed, and then on the other end you have a category of camera bags that are very minimalist and lean and aesthetic and all that kind of stuff. So by making this comparison, I really want to be able to answer the question of, do you need the high-end bag with all the features, or can you get by with the more minimalist bag for whatever it is that you're doing? So to make this comparison more fair and more accurate, at least in my opinion, I came up with these three different areas that we're going to look at to really determine which way you should go if you're kind of on the fence, right? So these three categories that I came up with are ease of use, packing versatility, and the hardest system. So let's get into it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Peak Design bag. They definitely took some time, adding in little details like the sternum strap having a tab on it so that it's a one-handed operation to get it on and off. And they have the same tabs on the shoulder strap adjustments down below. And so all of this is designed to make it easier to make those adjustments with one hand. It also has three really nice handles on it that makes it easy to pick it up and move it in any which way and always have a really good grip on it. But I think that the ease of use factor that really stands out with this bag is the side zippers. And what really makes this unique is your ability to get into the bag and get your stuff without even having to take the bag off. And this allows for you to just zip it back and forth, get into it, get whatever you need, whether it's your camera or whatever else, do what you need to do and put it back in. And that's a really, really nice feature. And to be completely honest, that would probably be my favorite feature about this bag. Now, if we jump over to the f-stop bag, this is one area where I think that it does struggle a little bit because there's just so many features packed into it, and it's designed more for ruggedness and protection and capability rather than ease of use. For example, the only way to get to your actual camera gear inside the bag is to use the back flap, which is really nice from a security standpoint, but this does mean that every time you want to get to your stuff, you actually have to take the bag off. And if you have something kind of sensitive in the front of the bag, this means you're laying the bag down on it. For instance, I sometimes carry my Ronin S in the front pocket, and I don't necessarily want to put that down on a bunch of rocks or an uneven surface and possibly damage the gimbal just so I can get into my stuff. This hasn't been an issue for me personally so far, but it is definitely something to consider. There's also no dedicated pouches on the side, rather other little compartments that are zippered. So if you do want to carry a water bottle or a tripod, you have to end up attaching it or doing something else. It's not just integrated into the bag itself, straight out of the box, if you will. So in this category, I would say that ease of use definitely goes to the Peak Design bag, but I guess that's somewhat expected for this category of bag because you're using it every day and it's a little bit more for convenience rather than function. So while the ease of use for a bag is pretty important, I think that packability is more important. And moving over to the f-stop bag, there was two main reasons I bought this bag, and packability was definitely one of them. And starting with what they call the internal camera unit, or the ICU. And I think that this is what really separates this bag from a lot of other ones. So basically what this means is there's an internal camera unit that is this kind of padded little box that slides into the bag, and it's removable, which is really nice because this means you can get different sizes depending on whatever you're going to need the bag for. So if you're only going to have one camera, maybe two lenses, you can get a small ICU and then pack the rest of this thing full with clothes and gear and all kinds of stuff. So it's a very versatile pack, and the ICUs themselves are very well made, very deep, very padded. You can move the little panels and dividers in all different ways, and it's just really, really nice. It definitely allows you to pack it in your own way that you're comfortable with. The other reason that I personally like the ICU is because someone that travels all the time, going onto airplanes, being able to take the ICU out, this thing is technically slightly over the carry-on size limit. Now, because of its shape, nobody has ever really said anything, but if they were, this means that I could take out the ICU with all the expensive camera gear, send the bag down below, and I wouldn't have to worry about the shell of the bag getting hurt, and all the expensive stuff stays with me. This thing also has a ton of straps and different little anchor points that you can do, and you would expect that with something that's designed to be carried up the mountain, because this is something that you could survive off of essentially if you're really resourceful and pack it right and all that kind of stuff. So that's definitely very impressive. But if we move over to the everyday bag, this is where the packing versatility category starts to hurt it a little bit. And for me, it really has to do with the way that they've designed the internal shelves. This is a really cool idea, and in theory, I think it works really well. And there's definitely ways that you can pack this bag, and it's fantastic. And for an everyday use bag, I think it's great. But the main problem that you're gonna run into is that these shelves are not particularly rigid, and they kind of move around a lot. So this could result to your camera gear actually bouncing around and possibly falling on a place inside the bag, which is not exactly ideal when you could possibly have thousands of dollars worth of gear in here. So it all depends on how you pack it, but I would definitely say that it's versatile because you can move the shelves around, but it's not necessarily the most secure and ease of mind or peace of mind on your gear staying safe if you're really going to load it down with some heavy duty stuff. The last problem that I have with the packing versatility of this bag is the fact that the top shelf that you use pretty much makes the top area of the bag. So if you want to pack a jacket in there and all kinds of different stuff, you're going to lose that whole top shelf, which means you really only have two left. So you're going to have to sacrifice one of the shelves to keep all your stuff separated, when they could have just added in a dedicated floor for this top portion so that you could still utilize all three shelves to pack it however you want. So in this case, I would definitely say, packability is always going to go to a more feature-packed bag, which once again is not too surprising. But I think that's something that in the long run, you will appreciate more than skimping out and thinking that it's going to be okay to just manage the minimal amount of modifications that you have available in an everyday category type of camera bag. We all know that if you're carrying around a heavy backpack for long periods of time, that a really good harness system is very much appreciated. And that is definitely another area that the everyday bag category is going to struggle. Because even though the shoulder straps are fine and it has a sternum strap and all that, it's good to go, the one thing it's mostly lacking is it doesn't have a good hip belt. And the reason that's more important, even though it looks kind of dorky to wear, is you're putting the weight on your hips. And so if the bag itself is not designed to really take on that workload or guide it to your hips, then you're still going to end up having a lot of that weight on your shoulders. And it's not fun, and it's definitely going to take a toll on your body. So once again, this is an area where a high-end, feature-packed, rugged backpack is going to really start to excel in this category, because this thing has an incredible hip belt. It's really thick, very padded. It even has some straps on the back to be able to tighten down and bring in the base of the pack closer to your hips, and so it's just more solid. And then the sternum strap is pretty standard. But then you get up to the top, and it has the shoulder straps on the top. And if anybody's ever been, using a backpacking, backcountry pack, you know that pulling in those top straps helps bring in the top of the pack more into your body, so it's less gravitational pull on the back of your body. And that's, super technical, but the point is it makes it more comfortable. And you just can't really beat that when you're carrying tons of gear and it's just weighing down on your body. So, if you're really planning on carrying a lot of gear, I think it's definitely worth investing into a pack that's going to have a great harness system and really going to be able to handle all that and not put all that crap right onto your back and your shoulders and all that nonsense. As I said in the beginning, this video is never about trying to tell you which bag you should buy. I'm not affiliated or sponsored by either of these companies. I just wanted to give some feedback to y'all and help look at these categories a little bit more constructively and to consider kind of the bigger picture of the categories of bags that are out there and the different features they offer and what is more important to you in the long run before you spend that hard-earned cash on something else that's going to help you out. But with all that said, that is it for this video. I hope it was helpful. Please like, comment, share, subscribe if you got anything out of it. And until the next one, see ya.